How are we doing today? Everybody's good? It's nice to see all of your smiling faces. Stacy, if you want to go ahead and do the live stream, feel free to, or you want to wait a minute and do my opening? What do you think? You good? Okay, very good. So today's workshop will be live streamed via YouTube through that camera right behind you guys. It's faced at the stage, so you only see the moderator and our amazing student panelist. And if you wanted to ask some questions, there'll be a QR code to put questions through. So I haven't seen your faces for a while because I was out of the country for the last few weeks, finding amazing international internships for you all. It was incredible. I met with some great people from Iceland, from Denmark, Sweden, Norway, and Germany. So stay tuned for new internships coming along from them. How many of you guys want to do an international internship? Yes, absolutely, yes, absolutely. So hopefully we'll be hosting one of the next workshops. Professor Canova will talk all about international internships. So you guys know me, I'm Jessica Wicki-Bird. I'm part of the internship team here at the college. I'm also the director of the internship program, and I'm also the interim director for the UCF Center for the Study of Human Trafficking and Modern Slavery. This is a center that there's only 3 in the entire United States of America, and UCF has one of them. This center is focused solely on educating anti-trafficking efforts. So our whole goal at the center is to literally educate the future leaders of the hospitality industry about human trafficking. And this panel today is really going to focus on that. We got involved in the anti-trafficking effort in 2019 when we invited United Abolitionists to come and talk to a group of students just as yourself. And he talked about human trafficking in the hospitality industry, and that 80% of victims who are recovered from sex trafficking are recovered from hotels and motels. 80%. It was a big eye-opener. We had a 50-minute conversation. At the end, I asked the 200 students, how many of you think you have witnessed human trafficking in your workplace? 30 students raised their hand. One student stayed behind and said, Professor, I think I'm about to be trafficked. My boyfriend is doing these exact techniques to me. This was very, very disturbing to me. So Professor Canova and I went right up to the dean, knock, knock, knock. We said, listen, we had this workshop. 30 of our students think they have trafficking in their workplace. One student believes they're about to be trafficked. We need to educate. These are our kids in our house, and we want them to be educated to be able to identify and report human trafficking if you see it in your workplace. So we have content in your internship courses that you'll see within internship 3 about human trafficking, and you'll get educated throughout that course. Today's panel, we've invited up some students who are part of my team. They're called the Knights of the Realm, and they support all of our activities for anti-trafficking efforts within the Center for the Study of Human Trafficking. They also support all of our efforts to be social advocates in anything to do with events and entertainment. Their student group is called Knights of the Realm, and they're here today to talk to you guys and have an open conversation about what trafficking looks like to college students. And maybe you've seen some of these things that they're going to talk about today. And so this is going to be a safe place for us all to learn. It's a tough conversation. But if one person is saved from being trafficked, then we've done our job. How many of you would like to make the world a better place? Thank you. Yes, all of us, right? And saving people from being trafficked is part of that. You are the future leaders of this great industry. You'll be leading hotels as general managers. You'll be leading destinations, events, entertainment, transportation companies. All of these places, you can lead your teams to say, we will be educated to be able to identify and report trafficking, and it will not happen in your house, in your place of business. And it won't happen to your friends and your family. So today's conversation will be very in-depth. I'm proud of my students for sitting up here for this hard conversation, because you guys get to sit there and they get to answer the really tough questions. So I'm very proud of them for doing that. And I've invited my friend, Jan Edwards with Paving the Way Foundation to come in and moderate the panel. Jan and I met a few years ago, and she's an amazing fighter in combating trafficking. Her whole vision is to educate young people, including elementary, middle school, and high school kids, along with college students, about anti-trafficking. So she's gonna moderate the panel for you guys. You can see would you flip through hi Summer. Hi. Would you flip through the screen real quick? We talked about the center, yep. Paving the way, yep. So you see up here, here's our panelist and Jan, the moderator. You see that QR code? That's there if you want to submit a question. Because we're live streaming it, if you wanted to actually ask a question, we have a little video release form for you to sign so that you can ask a question and then be on camera. If not, feel free to submit it via that QR code. The great Jamie Davis here will be moderating and will happily ask your question for you. We'll end promptly at 12:50, so we'll have plenty of time for the panelists to talk about the topics of grooming, sugaring, AI, and then we'll have time for your questions at the end. Sound good? All right, you guys ready for this tough conversation? All right, okay, so welcome Jan Edwards, my friend from Paving the Way Foundation.
Thank you, Jessica. So I'm going to ask a question of y'all to make this as relevant as possible, and then I'm going to have the fabulous panel introduce themselves. By the way, it takes something, so you know, it takes something to sit up here in front of you and answer questions, right? So they're brave and courageous and extraordinary young people, and I'm just thrilled that y'all are up here. So here's my question. How many of you over the past couple of years have either gotten a DM or a picture from someone you don't know on your social media or gaming apps? Okay, I want everybody to look around. Yeah. You're not alone. Okay, so that's the context of this conversation. Almost everyone in here has experienced what we're about to talk about. So I'm going to start over here and have James introduce himself and move their way around. Then we're going to start right into the questions. So James, would you be so kind as to introduce yourself, say why you're here, what you do, and kick us off?
Hi, everybody. My name is James Costa, and I am currently a student with UCF. I'm working to obtain a graduate certificate in leadership and strategy in hospitality. One of my career goals is to one day make it to resort management. One of the main reasons I'm here today is because human trafficking is so prominent that I want to be able to inform the future leaders of our industry on what that can look like, so then they could then relay that to their future teams that they lead. So for generations to come, everybody is aware of what human trafficking looks like. Okay.
Hi. Yeah. Oh, no. Closer. There we go. Hi, everyone. My name is Sydney Weissman, and I am currently working towards my Master of Science in Event Leadership and Graduate Certificate in Event Management. I graduated from the Rosen College in May 2023 with my Bachelor of Science in Hospitality Management, and I am so grateful that I'm able to continue my education here. In the future, I hope to combine my knowledge of events and modern-day slavery to make a social impact on a global scale through the power of events, which is why I'm here today.
Hi, everybody. My name is Anastasia Allgaier. I am a senior studying hospitality management with a certificate in managing sporting events. In the future, I hope to work event operations for Formula One racing, and I'm here today because human trafficking and the effects of human trafficking have always been something very personal to me, and I aim to help people like me and those who are going to be future leaders to learn the signs and help protect themselves and others in the future.
Hello, everyone. My name is Esri Damschoter, and I've recently graduated from UCF with my bachelor's degree in criminal justice. I currently work for a nonprofit organization educating kids, communities about human trafficking, online exploitation, and online safety so we can prevent it. I started working with Paving the Way Foundation a little under 2 years ago as an intern, and through my dependability and dedication, I became an employee. And with that experience, I've now have the knowledge that I can pass down to you about human trafficking and all that kind of stuff. Thank you.
It's okay. So, hi everybody. My name is Danny Neto. I'm a senior here at the Rosen College, majoring in hospitality and tourism management, along with getting a certificate in managing sporting events, with the goal of becoming a general manager of a golf and country club. And I'm here on this panel because it's one of my personal values to leave the area that I am in a lot better than I found it. So I hope through today's panel and through all the things we have planned with Knights of the Realm to leave the Orlando area a lot better than I found it.
Thank you. All right, James, here we go. We're going to kick it off with you. Would you please share with us, like, really, what is human trafficking? What is exploitation? What's it look like, and what does it mean?
Definitely. So human trafficking is the use of fraud, force, or coercion in order to get something out of people. That something is usually going to be like labor or sex. And then for something to be considered trafficking, there needs to be multiple parts. It's three things. It's the acts, the means, and the purpose. The acts are going to be what the trafficker is doing, whether that be exploiting somebody, having sex, moving them from one place to another for certain means. The means is what they're actually doing. So that's going to be how they, like what their intents are. And then the purpose is always going to be exploitation. So when you have all three of those together, that's going to be trafficking, and what human trafficking is.
Does trafficking require transportation?
No, it does not. Trafficking could happen in the same room that the person has the idea of wanting to initiate that human trafficking. You don't have to move. It's common that you move, but it can happen pretty much anywhere at any time.
What are some of the key indicators that we can be looking for human trafficking? If I'm interning at a hotel or a restaurant, what are some things that I should be looking for? My experience with all my training in human trafficking is hotels, so I'm going to speak from that kind of perspective, but this isn't the only way that it can happen. So key indicators in a hotel are going to be, first off, we have in-call and out-call in hotels. In-call human trafficking is when the perpetrators will visit their victims at the hotel, and then out-call is vice versa. The perpetrators have rooms at the hotel, and their victims come and visit them. So common features or things to look at to see this would be rooms are booked, paid for in cash only, because they don't want to have that paper trail that leads back to the specific name of the perpetrator. They could have rooms for one night. They're in, they're out, quick, or they have super long extended stays with a very long list of visitors who are always coming to the hotel to visit them. So you would see that with lots of foot traffic in and out of a specific room because the perpetrator is constantly bringing in new people every day. If I'm at the front desk, and what am I looking for if I'm in concierge or I'm in the restaurant? What would I actually see? What behaviors, dress, demeanor, what would all of that look like?
So from a victim standpoint, you would see people who are constantly look distressed. They don't really want to share or can't share any information about who they are and like what they're there for because of that fear of what is going to happen to them. You could also look for signs of physical abuse. Usually perpetrators or victims of sex trafficking, it's most commonly going to be rape, so they're going to have signs of being raped, so the bruises and other examples of like physical abuse.
And tattoos. Tattoos are probably one of the biggest things to look for, and they're starting to do tattoos up underneath the hairline, so you really can't see them. And the other popular thing that's happening in Orlando is they're dyeing their victims' hair. I used to say Raggedy Ann red, but nobody knows what that means. Ronald McDonald red. So that bright red hair. Thank you, James, really. Is that clear, y'all? He gave you a great foundation for really what it is. Brilliant. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Give him a round of applause. So, Danny, you know, we talk about grooming, enticement, recruitment, all these words about in the realm of human trafficking. What does that really mean? So let's start with grooming. What does grooming really mean? And then I want you to slide right into some of the tactics that are used to lure people in.
Okay, yeah, so grooming is the process where a adult or even a older child is trying to form a relationship with a younger child with the goal of creating trust from both the victim and the trafficker. And then once they have that trust, it can lead to several bad things, such as the sex trafficking, the labor trafficking, and all the other bad things that can happen once that trust is formed. And a common tactic that is used by these traffickers is called false love and affection, to where the trafficker is acting as a romantic partner or even a best friend, to where they're giving them like the best compliments, gifts, and other positive things to again build that trust between them. And then once that trust is there, again, they can take it to the next level and have sex and all the different bad things that can happen.
Really, really great. So, you know, the past 3 years, and it's a very interesting period of time to be alive. It's all I'm gonna let you know, so I'm gonna say right now. You know, the past several years, it's been challenging. It's been really hard. You know, we've been at home, we've been isolated, and so it's easy to see how this could happen to any of us, really. It's not a finger-pointing thing. Almost every single one of you raised your hand and said, yes, I've interacted with someone I don't know, or someone I don't know sent me a picture. And on those bad days, it's easy when some attractive human says, hey, you're beautiful, you're handsome, I'd love to hang out with you, that if I'm in that low moment, you can see how someone could just slide right into that conversation because I had a bad day, right? So that's the grooming piece. Danny, let's talk about enticement. Like, what is that? Because there's an intent behind that, right?
Yes, so enticement's a very similar topic. It's where traffickers are, again, trying to recruit people, and it's a completely illegal thing. It's just like how trying to kill someone is a murder, which is illegal everywhere. But it's with the intent of building that relationship to lead to sexual abuse, and even trying to kidnap that person. And then a common tactic with that is online recruitment. It can be through job sites, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, all the social medias, where these traffickers make, again, false accounts, again, to lure you in. And then once they have you, it again leads to all the bad things that can happen.
You don't have to leave your bedroom.
Exactly.
That's the thing. You don't have to leave your bedroom. So how many of y'all are gamers? Any gamers out here? Yeah. All right. So Esri is a gamer as well. That's why she's talking about this topic. The kids we educate love the fact that she knows exactly what they're talking about. So Esri, you know, gaming platforms, first of all, it's a high percentage of men, young boys, that play video games. Not to diss any of the girls, but it's a higher percentage of boys. And most people think human trafficking's just girls, and we know that's not the case. So why don't we talk a little bit about what grooming and enticement looks like on gaming platforms, and in particular in the realm of the chat sessions.
So when people first think of human trafficking, they often think of what is portrayed in movies, which is the white van with the candy or the puppies. That is simply not the case. According to NCMEC, which is the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children, there has been a 97% increase of online enticement since 2020. The majority of human trafficking is done through social media and video games. So what that looks like on game chats is the predator building a relationship or friendship with the child or victim. They can pose as teenagers, their age, and become friendly, compliment them, and, you know, just try to be their friend, right? Once a relationship is built, is formed, they will try to move that conversation over to an app where they can send photos. So for instance, Discord, Snapchat, or Instagram. And if a child is not receiving enough attention or love at home, their chances of being targeted increases.
Got it. So inside that space of chats, they actually have a methodology, right? They actually have, so here's the thing, there's actually a book out online that tells you how to be a pimp. So there's stages of actually how to move a human being through this space, which is just disturbing. So in the gaming platform and the chat platform, Esri, can you kind of walk through those stages? So we really want all y'all to be aware of what it looks like and to please share. How many of you have younger siblings? Yeah. Talk to your siblings. They'll listen to you more than they will to your parents. So this is also really great information for you to share with your siblings. So let's walk through the stages.
All right. So the first stage of what human trafficking looks like through game chats is identification. So this is where the trafficker looks for potential victims, and they do that through social media platforms, games, or online forums. They look for kids who are vulnerable, and what that looks like is the kids who have public accounts, have personal information on those accounts, the likes, the interests, or even just having the chat feature in games, having that available. So they look for the kids that are, you know, easily targeted, can be easily targeted. Predators are not messaging 1 or 5 or even 10 vulnerable boys and girls. They're messaging 400, 500 a day and waiting for that one vulnerable girl or boy to respond back. The second stage is grooming and exploitation. So this is where, you know, the target has been identified, an open form of communication has been formed, and they will try to build a rapport with the victim, the child, with fake profiles or false promises, They will shower the victim with love, affection, gifts. They will buy them games, help them find Easter eggs, or help them level up in games. It can be as simple as that. They will ask personal questions about the victim and to find out more information about them, like their likes and their interests, school, addresses. They will slowly introduce sexual content into the interactions. So it can be as simple as take a photo of your feet and I will help you find this Easter egg, or I will buy you this game. Take a photo of your legs and I will do this, and so on, and it just, you know, gets worse and worse over time. The third stage is control and manipulation. So this is where predators exert their, you know, control and manipulation over the victim through the use of tactics. And this is not limited to, you know, emotional manipulation, threats, just coercion, peer pressure, all that kind of stuff. They may use the illicit photos that the victim had sent, you know, prior to obtain even more photos, or to obtain money, work, all that kind of stuff. They also may make the child believe that, you know, this is their fault, that they'll never be able to get out of the situation, that they can't trust their family or a trusted adult, that if they do tell their family that, you know, you'll get in trouble for it. They belittle the child, you know, into believing that they're the only person that they can trust, right? So, which leads me into my next stage, which is meeting in person. So this stage is where, you know, there's a face-to-face contact with the trafficker and the victim. It may lead into recruitment, the trafficker recruiting the victim, and the minor will be physically exploited at this stage. And that can either mean, for money, for sex, for sexual activities, for drugs, for alcohol, for, a variety of things. And it can even be as far as organs. The child, is just left in that feeling of, this is my fault, this is my responsibility, and their coping mechanism is drugs and alcohol.
Good job. Take a breath. That's a lot of information. But can you see how it builds, right? That connection, and then that next stage, and then the next stage. And it looks like friendship. It really, really does. And not only does this happen on gaming platforms, but it also happens on social media. So let's talk a little bit about social media and really, what does that look like? What does the enticement and grooming look like on social media?
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to social media, as we've said, traffickers will often use these fake accounts to sort of find, lure, and target potential victims. What those accounts will look like on social media sites like Tinder or Hinge or Bumble, Grindr, all of those sort of apps, including Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, and Twitter, will be very fake. You can almost tell they're going to have faked content, things like money scams, get-rich-quick schemes, or showing off expensive trips and gifts and things like that, showing off for no reason, as well as they'll probably have posted all on the same day, which is kind of odd. You can also look at the follower count. If they have a ton of following but almost no followers, that can be a red flag. And the goal of these accounts is to really just publicly offer something that they think their victims want or need. So that can be financial support, that can be work opportunities, career opportunities, or just simply put that connection, that relationship that we've been talking about.
So there's this, are y'all familiar with AI? Yeah. So let's chit chat a little bit about that, and then we'll come right back on over to, unless do you want to share? Okay, good, then let's share. Then you need the mic again. Yeah. So this is how do I want to set this up? Give me a second. Yeah. So yeah, we talked about social media, and then we can talk about online dating. Yeah, for sure.
So in the online dating space, it typically follows a lot of the same steps as gaming. They start with establishing an insincere relationship and trust with the potential victim. This is through a tactic called boyfriending, as Danny touched upon. So this is extreme flattery, promise of gifts, and then move closer. Sorry. So extreme flattery, promise of gifts, and then assuring them that they are the only person that truly cares about the victim, which often is not the case. This will then go into private messaging online, so direct messages through Instagram, Facebook, or through Tinder. When you match with someone, you have that conversation, and then eventually to text offline. The ultimate goal is to meet in person, which is why these traffickers tend to use these location-based apps like Tinder and Grindr, because the ultimate goal of those apps is to meet in person. So after they meet in person, this is where they really will make their move against the potential victim.
Just 1 second. Can you see how the tactics are similar? Doesn't the platform, it's the same on every platform, including in person. This can happen in person as well.
So this is where I actually do have personal experience when it comes to this topic. So I am very active on social medias. My accounts are public, and I've used many forms of online dating. So I have seen these accounts firsthand. I've been contacted by these accounts firsthand. I've seen friends of mine get pulled into these sugaring, grooming situations, and I've seen the kind of damage that they can do, and I've been privy to situations that could have gone very wrong very quickly. So in my experience, what often happens, it starts off so innocent and so sweet. Compliments, wanting that connection, and they do this to build your trust. I want you all to understand that. It is so that you lower your guard, because that is how that door opens for them to begin the grooming process, which can lead to trafficking. And it's very harsh, and it sounds very terrifying in a way, and I've said it, and I've heard it said by many others. They're not a predator, they're just lonely. What's the harm in a conversation? And that mentality is what allows these predators to have access to and target their victims. And I don't want you all to be afraid of being online, and I don't want you all to be afraid of a conversation, especially because we are in a digital age right now. What I do want you all to be aware of is your situation. I want you to be aware. I want you to trust your intuition. That is something I had to learn the hard way. I had to learn the hard way to trust my gut and that, hey, this person isn't trustworthy. No matter what they're saying to me, no matter how much they're complimenting me, this is a bad situation. So trust your gut and know that if something feels off, run. Don't walk, run away.
Brilliant. Thank you. It takes something, you know, because we all want to be loved. We all want to belong. We all want to be a part of something. And there's this new technology out there that called AI that they're really tapping into that to find another way to get in. And the thing that I really want y'all left with is you're the target. Your siblings are the target and the product they want. And we're here to educate you and empower you. So when you leave here, you're like, not on my watch. I get to have a say how my life goes. And you're not going to alter that for some shiny bauble. And that's where AI really comes into play. Sydney.
So with human trafficking, AI generally comes in the form of voice AI. Traffickers can use this artificial voice to lure their victims, gain trust by having it sound like a teenager, someone that you can connect to. And so this is something that we need to be careful of now. In sexual exploitation, AI is generally in the form of editing photographs. So this can be as simple as taking a child's photo and aging it up and putting it on a sexually explicit photo, taking a regular photo that you have posted on your Instagram to be sexually explicit, or just taking your face to put it on something that is sexually explicit, which is really scary to think about.
Yeah, and let your parents know, right? Because one of the things we talk to, because look, we're just so proud of our kids. We are. We just love that you're in college and you're busy and you're up to stuff, and we want to tell the world, not knowing that we're actually putting you in harm's way. So invite your parents to do a private Facebook page. They can share all they want, but between now and then, right? It's just like, Mom, take that down, take that down. So. I want to kind of go into sugaring next, and then we can talk about staying safe. Does that work for y'all? Okay, good. So y'all have heard of sugar babies, sugar daddies, sugaring? Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that and how it starts off so nicely. You just want to take me to dinner, and then, yeah, go ahead.
All right, so sugaring is when a wealthy individual uses some unit of value. Generally, this is a financial means like physical money, paying for your tuition, paying for rent, things like that. And they use this to stimulate a relationship with a less wealthy individual that is generally younger than they are. It's generally our age. And they establish this false relationship on the basis of money. This is extremely dangerous because any relationship built on the foundation of money is not really a relationship at all, and it creates a really dangerous power imbalance. It can quickly turn into a situation of I own you or you owe me. And in this situation, they can be, I paid for your tuition, you owe me a favor, go sleep with my friend. It can go that fast, which is the unfortunate truth about it. Sugaring also has a potential to have a behind-the-scenes third party involved, so it's not just you and the person that's paying you. It's you, the person that's paying you, and the person that's paying them or enticing them to get you. And then when you go and you do the favor of meeting with the friend, that person's a trafficker, and that's how they will get you into their field.
So we've given you a lot of information. All right, your head's probably swimming with some things. And we also want to, you know, like, how do you stay safe? So I'm gonna ask the panel and just give me like one or two things, a piece of advice that you can give to, you know, the people listening here and the people online, because this will be on here for, you know, as long as YouTube's up and UCF exists, this will be on their platform. So what's one or two things we can do as individuals to stay safe inside this environment? And do you want to start with Danny, or you want to start in the, okay, yeah, you start, perfect.
So what I tend to follow is a 4-step process, which is stop, block, talk, report. So the first thing that you want to do is stop any communication that you have with this person. Even if you were communicating with them before, you are not obligated to keep talking to them. And you do not want to pay them if they ask for money. This is in the case of sextortion, which is extorting you for providing them sexually explicit images, and they either want you to send more or they want you to pay them. So in that case, you don't want to pay them because there's no guarantee that they won't post it. And if you do pay them, they may also see it as an opportunity to get more money from you. The next thing that you want to do is block this person. You want to block them from all your social media. On any platform that you have connection to them, you want to block them. You don't want them to have access to you anymore, but you also want to make sure that you take screenshots, save PDFs of websites, any conversations or interactions, including photos that may include explicit images of you. You want to make sure that you have photographed evidence of that, because that will help you later on. The next thing is to talk to someone. Talk to someone you trust. Generally, you want to talk to someone that has some type of knowledge about this, but it doesn't necessarily have to be someone that has knowledge, just someone that can help you through it, because you are not alone when this happens to you. You have people that love you, you have people that want to support you and help you through this process. And then lastly is reporting. You want to call the police. This is the best effort to do it. You can report the content on whatever platform you're using, but generally they need police to have them actually take down those images, unfortunately. I do want to point out, though, that if you are a minor in those photos, or you're currently a minor, you may also get in trouble for that, because child pornography is illegal even if it is of yourself. So that is just something to keep in mind, but I don't want that to deter you, because the greater good is to get rid of the problem.
Yeah, so just like Sydney said, I have a little thing that I like to go by. It's plain and simple, just think before you do. Always kind of like analyze the situation that you're in, because like just like we've all said, like all the Instagram messages and whatnot, don't respond right away. You always have that friend group, just like Sydney said. Think about it, analyze it before you actually take the next step.
My word of advice would be just be aware of what's happening. It's a big thing nowadays, especially with dating. Oh, it's a red flag. I don't want that. Look for those red flags. If you think something might be a little off about a situation, there's a good chance it probably is. Do your best when you do see those red flags to kind of take yourself away from it. Because if that did turn out to be a real red flag, you're right. You just saved yourself from the possibility of being trafficked, or somebody else. Like, hey, that's a red flag. You shouldn't do that. You just saved them from being trafficked as well.
Right, so we've talked a lot about block and report. What I want to talk about is steps that you can take. So being careful of what you post and using privacy settings. That's something even I've started to do, even though I am very active and I have a strong social media presence. I still use privacy settings, and I'm cautious about what I post. Like, I don't post friends of mine that are minors and things like that.
Excuse me? Okay. Just to piggyback off of what she said, also look at your location settings. For each game and app that you download on your phone, there comes a location setting attached to it. So just make sure you turn them off to all the games and the apps that you don't need. Like Life 360, keep that on. Find My iPhone, keep that on. But the other ones like Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, you don't need that on. And lastly, with games, just play with people that you know, right? Even if you don't play with people that you know, just don't give out personal information. If they ask a lot of questions, especially when you first meet them, know that it's a red flag, and trust your gut that something's wrong with that.
Shocked. I actually have something to add. And then we're going to go into questions here in a second. And that is, with the advent of AI, y'all have a family safe word. Create a family safe phrase. Create something, because with this audio AI, a friend of mine's mom was literally in the bank getting $5,000 out when she called her mom. And she's like, hey, what are you doing? She's like, I'm in the bank. I'm getting money. They kidnapped, I'm just going to use it's not his name. They kidnapped Bill. And she's like, what are you talking about? And she said, yeah, they kidnapped Bill. I have to send $5,000. And she's like, Mom, did you call Bill? Well, no, because when you're in, panic mode, this stops working and it's back here. So they called their brother, and he's like, hey, sis, what's that? It didn't happen. So had she had a family safe word, right, or a safe phrase, that actually could have saved a lot of things, and she could have reported it. So I don't care how old you are, create a family safe word and a phrase away from electronics, because it's remembering. All right, so can we give a hand for this extraordinary panel before we go to questions? Thank you. Really well done. Are we ready for the first question?
Sure. This first is really a statement that leads into the next question. They were submitted by two different people in the room. I just wanted to say that the show, What Would You Do, does a lot about this type of topic. It's my way that I learned of trafficking and human trafficking, of what it can be and how people react to it. So what happens if we sense someone is getting groomed, but they refuse to believe it?
So I would say if they refuse to believe it, unfortunately, the thing is, in a lot of cases with reporting, the victim has to give a statement at the very least, even if they're not the reporting party, but you can still report in good faith. If you know the contact information of the person you believe is grooming them, you can still report that to various organizations. So even if they're refusing to acknowledge it, somebody else, one of their other victims might, because usually groomers don't just have one victim, they have many.
Especially in the state of Florida, if we see something, we have to report it. So if we believe a child is being groomed, it is our duty, it's our responsibility to contact, the human trafficking hotline and get that situation handled or figured out.
So for the person that asked the question, you've gotten a lot of information, right? You can actually share with them what you learned and see if it resonates. So then they know that they've got a safe person to come talk to, because I think that's the other piece too. They might feel like they're alone or embarrassed, but if you share what you think, and you share what you learned, a statistic, that can actually help them feel safer to share with you, and then you can start the processes that they talked about.
Back to AI. Are there any ways to identify when a perpetrator is using AI?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. You go.
Okay, awesome. So with AI, AI has gotten very good, unfortunately, but there are still indicators. If somebody knows that person, then there may be, that's not what they actually sound like, because sometimes they'll not use a single person, they'll combine images. So they'll use one person's face, another person's body, and a third party's voice. So if somebody knows that person, that's some way that you can make that personal connection. And as far as on like a reporting level, I believe that you would know more about that as far as like how to report that. Yeah.
Right. So every single platform has a reporting tool, every single platform. And then Homeland Security is our human trafficking law enforcement arm in the United States. If it gets to a federal level, then the FBI gets involved. But you can always go to the cyber tip line and report it. You can always call the HSI number and report it. And back to both of your conversations, just stop and think, right? Pause. Just take a pause for a minute and look. And if it's, hey, yeah, I'm friends with so-and-so, you can easily call, text that friend and go, hey, Anastasia, do you know this guy? This guy says you're good friends, and I don't know if you know him. So you can always check on the person that they say they are if they're friends with somebody.
This one is industry related. So if you suspect a guest is involved in a trafficking ring, what is the safest way to separate the trafficker from the victim in a hotel setting?
So what you would want to do is try to find a time where the victim might be alone, whether that be they're walking through the lobby or they're just coming in, and kind of talk to them like they're a person. Don't immediately jump to, hey, I think you're being trafficked, let me help you. Kind of create that conversation, find out about them, and then once you have enough ideas of, I really strongly think this is happening, that's where you're going to go and talk to your leaders. You're going to then want to have to get the police involved so that since it is happening, it is illegal, we want that law enforcement to be involved to kind of shut everything down, and then get that victim the help that they do need.
Thank you, James. Number one, call 911. Don't put yourself in between a trafficker and their possessions, because that victim belongs to them in their mind, and you will just become a victim. So do whatever you can to, make yourself be safe in your resort. Do not interject between a trafficker and their victim, even if this is it, you want to save them, because you become a target then. And it happens over and over again. So call 911. There's tactics to keep them at the front desk. Like, I'm sorry, our computer system went down. Do you mind having a wait in our lobby? Can I bring you some coffee? Make it like, hi, I'm sorry, guys, our computer went down. Call the police. Give yourself 3 minutes for the police to arrive. And then you put yourself out of harm's way. Don't put yourself in between the victim and the trafficker and the victim, unfortunately. And you'll want to save them. If you see that, right? You'll want to save them immediately, but you're going to put yourself into a really bad situation. Right? Thank you, James.
And most hotels have a protocol. So they'll, you want to talk for those that are interning at a hotel or local environment. Ask them what their protocol is, and have, invite them, go, hey, when's the last time we practiced that? When's the last time we actually moved through that space? And for those of you that might intern outside of Orlando, so Central Florida is one of the best places. We are so synergistic inside this space. Jessica and I are a phone call away from just about anything anybody needs inside this space. So the moment, and our local PD is trained and our sheriffs are trained, so they know, but you have to use the topic human trafficking. You cannot say, do not say, please, 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 do not say prostitution. I was in Tampa recently and witnessed it at a Hilton. And we had a conversation the next morning with the general manager and the front desk manager. And he's like, well, we're trained to call 911. And I'm like, hang on a second, because the girl will be arrested. So that's something else on her record. So I actually had a conversation with their local human trafficking sergeant and Tampa PD, and they all said, use the term human trafficking. That sets off a whole separate precedent. That sets up a whole, they bring a victim's advocate, so the victim is taken care of. And Jessica, you're spot on. You let law enforcement handle this.
This one is, I've been on both sides of a sugaring relationship and was wondering what separates a relationship where someone has most of the money and likes to buy their partner's stuff from sugaring and grooming. What are the red flags to look for?
So in this case, and I know like some people's love language is gift giving or receiving gifts, there is a difference. Sugaring tend to do really extravagant gifts, like things that are thousands of dollars all the time. These are sometimes things that aren't necessarily wanted by the person that they're targeting and aren't necessarily reasonable for them to have. So that's really different from just getting your girlfriend a necklace or buying flowers just because. You can still give gifts and it not be sugaring. There's a huge difference in the type of gift that you are giving and the monetary value and the sense of, I did this great thing for you, so now you're going to owe me for that.
It's the intent behind it. Really, it's the intent too.
Yeah, and just to add to that, it's the intent, it's the extravagance, it's also the precedent of, here's this new Porsche, you don't have to give me anything. And then coming back a week or two later, hey, you remember that Porsche I gave you? And when it comes to the forming of the relationship, what you want to look for is what we as college students know as love bombing and isolation. So they just don't understand you like I do. They could never. No, it's just you and me against the world. Trying to initiate that honeymoon phase without any foundation. The difference between love bombing and forming a relationship is the actual foundation of a relationship, of this mutual respect and care, whereas love bombing is, I'm showering you with this so that you'll feel obligated to return it.
We have one more question. We've talked a lot about the age where it's someone who's typically older that's going after someone who's younger. So this question is, can an elderly be victim of trafficking in terms of financial exploitation? The answer is yes.
100%.
I'm
Flat out
currently
yes.
experiencing that myself with my grandmother, so it's 100% a yes.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Jamie, for asking the questions. Let's give it up for our amazing panelists and moderator. Thank you, guys. I know this is a really, really hard conversation, but I'm glad we had it today. You guys, Florida is ranked number 3 in reported cases of human trafficking in the United States of America. We're number 3. So we can change that. We can be advocates and anti-trafficking advocates and help someone so that they're not a victim. So I hope you guys have learned a little bit today. We're going to put some resources in the hub that you will have that will talk all about sugaring, about grooming. One thing we did not cover today is entertainment. And this is the newest tactic, it's been happening in the last few years, is using a job opportunity to entice you to an activity, whether it be, do you want to be a model? I have this event that you could come be a model. I'm a DJ, I'm building my DJ business. And so these activities actually will then become trafficking. And there's cases that Professor Canova, we can show, of where, that she found of these actual cases. So don't take opportunities where you leave the area for someone you have never met. Come see us. Do the fact check. If they don't have a website, they don't have an email, a phone number, like not just a Gmail. If they're asking you to provide money up front, they don't have a LinkedIn or a proper pages, don't go there. I had a few of my students 2 years ago that were all about to be trafficked because of a modeling scam in Vegas. They flew to Vegas, they were hired on to be models for an event, and they were about to be trafficked. So don't put yourself in that situation, you guys, okay? The world is a really great place. There's only a few bad actors, but we want you to be able to identify them and say, not today, folks, not today.
And Jessica, if I may, I want to make clear that this does not happen just in the entertainment industry. When I was graduating this last spring, I applied for a job and it went through a normal process, interviewing, everything like that. I looked at the website, they had a LinkedIn page, everything looked okay, and I didn't look too much into it until they told me I got the job. And I was really excited because finally got a job. Job hunt is hard. And then they sent me the location for the business, and it was in the middle of nowhere, and they said, sorry, we're under construction, come here. And I was like, wait a minute.
Red flag.
That sounds strange. Yeah. And so the first thing that I did is I went back to their website, and I tried to click on all the links that they had to social media pages, all of that. They didn't have the location on the website. All of it tracked back to nothing. I went and I looked the CEO online, and there was people saying that this person is a scam. This person isn't real. This situation is not real. And my dad has some connection to this platform where you can do background checks on people, and he did it, and it was the same thing of like, don't do this. And I found this job through LinkedIn. So you need to be careful everywhere.
Everywhere. Everywhere. Thank you for sharing that, Sydney. You guys, thank you so much again. We hope you have a great day. We know your future anti-trafficking advocates. Go be safe. We'll see you next week.